Hey everybody, this is Danny, and we'll be doing some ethical hacking and cybersecurity research via Hack the Box. We'll be looking at Boardlight's Retired Box here. First, we'll be looking at CVE 2023-30253, and this is a vulnerable software that allows for remote code execution by an authenticated user via an uppercase manipulation of the PHP. According to Shodan, there's 204 instances of this software in use throughout the world. That does not mean that they're vulnerable. However, that's something to take in mind. Next, we'll be looking at CVE 2022-37706, and this is the Enlight software here that allows for users to gain privileges via the set UID root privileges, and it mishandles the path names that begin with the dev substring. Sounds very confusing, but this exploit is not very difficult. So this is the attack chain. First, we'll identify targets of opportunity that have vulnerable services. Then we'll gain a foothold via CVE 2023-30253 for our initial access exploit. And after that, we'll gain root access via CVE 2022-37706 for our privilege escalation. With that said, let's go ahead and begin. Let's start the mission. Let's go. Hey everybody, so today we're going to be doing broad light, and we'll go ahead and start by connecting to the TryHackMe VPN. Once you're connected, you want to go ahead and open up the terminal. You create a folder called Broadlight and open the terminal up from this location. Once you have the terminal open up from this location, I would suggest that you go ahead and ifconfig ton 0. That's your Kelly IP address, and just go ahead and you can create a new tab or use that tab and rename it to outhost 10.10. Whatever your IP address is. And then you have your rhost. Your rhost is going to be a static IP address for the victim. In this case, it's this. So you just click File, New Tab, it opens a new tab, rename, and then rename it accordingly so we can stay organized throughout this lab. You can see I already put it in. I'm going to go ahead and make it kind of a reddish color. This will allow me to quickly distinguish that this is the rhost as we run through the lab. All right, so with that said, next thing we're going to do is we're going to need to run a map scan of this IP address to then enumerate the services that are running and different, try to ID the attack surface of this. You can see I've already have this ready. I'm going to go ahead and run it. And we'll kind of speed through this one, but you can see we have port 22 open and 80. We want to go ahead and see what's on 80. So we check that out and we see that we have this website running called Spotlight. Scrolling through it, we don't see much anything really interesting here, but we want to go ahead and annotate that domain being used here is broadlight.htb according to this. So that's some good information. Of course, it's also here. So we'll go ahead and add that to our Etsy host file. What I'll do is I'll just rename this tab InMap. This allows me to stay organized again. And then the next one will be the Etsy host file. So host. And I just want to go ahead and run sudo nano Etsy host and take a look at my file, see what's going on there. And you can see I've already added prod.htb to the file. So I could use the IP address to domain name conversion. All right, so we want to check for any subdomains, and to do that, I'll be using GoBuster, as well as actually be using Fluff. So why don't we go ahead and just use Fluff to find a subdomain, and then that will be our next attack. So go here, put this in, this is Fluff. You see I'm fuzzing for subdomains here, and I'll go to run it. Immediately we notice that we have a CRM subdomain. Great. So when we type that in and we want to, before we start going to that site, we want to go ahead and make sure we add that to our etc host file. Control O, Control or Enter Control X, and that will save and exit our etc host file. So then we can go ahead and navigate to that site for CRMS. Now that we have the resolution, we can go ahead and type that in. So HTTP CRM board.htb. And you can see by doing that, we are taken to this website here, and then it shows the version. So now that we know that, we'll go ahead and start searching for exploits. My first go-to is Searchploit just to see if anything out there actually exists. And if you're using something like Metasploit, it's a lot easier too, but if we're trying to stay away from it due to preparation for OSCP, then we can go ahead and do that. But here we can see that there's a number of vulnerabilities, that's a number of exploits. And if we're looking for 1700, we can see that there's one that's 17001. We don't really see anything specifically for that. So my next go-to would be the internet, right? You're gonna open up Chrome. Actually, that was already Chrome. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and copy that. Come here, exploits, and we can find a proof of concept one here. This is for CVE 2023-30253, and here it gives us the command. So I'll go ahead and just download all this to my directory. I've already done it, but you can go ahead and do that by putting this next command I'm going to run. It's going to be our exploit. All right, and we'll go ahead and run and look for exploits. In a typical manner, I would also run directory brute forces on both these on the domain and subdomain, but just for the sakes of time, we'll go ahead and skip that and go straight to cloning this GitHub, and it already exists, so it's not going to work for me, but it should work for you. You put this command in and it'll get it. Next thing you're gonna do is just see, okay, I have a exploit.py in there. So why don't I navigate to that? So I'll go ahead and ls cd exploits and then tab to autocomplete ls, and then there's our exploit there. Now, reading through that, you'll see that you just need to run Python 3 and specify the subdomain as well as inputting a reverse shell that you would be listening on, so netcat. So we'll go ahead and start up a netcat listener before we fire off that weaponized payload. Go ahead and go here, and type in C, and I want to put the port that I'm running it on, so I remember that as I go back to my exploit there. Go ahead and run that, and then come to our exploit. We know that this is the portal. Admin worked for me, so immediately upon identifying portal, I went ahead and input admin, just because that's kind of something I've gotten used to see if it works, and it does in fact work, which is great. So we know we have authenticated RCE here, and we put in our IP address right here, so you can see it's mine's 10.10.14.19, and that stayed the same. It looks like 9001 is our listening port. We run it, and upon running, you can see it's going to go ahead and run the payload, run the exploit against this vulnerability, and once complete, it will gain us access to this server, and we have immediate access. Upon having access, we are going to go ahead and navigate to a directory here, and doing some research, you find that there is a directory that has a configuration file. And so if I go back a few directories here, we will identify that file here. It's HTC docs, yeah. So it's actually here, and we'll just go to the config. We can see there's a conf file there, so we'll go ahead and cat or actually it's a folder, so we have the CD and some con folder. And this is by doing your research and identifying it, where is the configuration folder for this specific type of software. And we can cat the config.php file. In doing so, we will find credentials for a user right here. Uh, and this is to the SQL. This is to SQL database. So this is good information. I'll go ahead and note this down, and then we'll go ahead and run through the rest of this. So what we'll do is go ahead and cat the Etsy password WD file and note that Lauren is a user. We'll go ahead and look to see if there's any other users here. We can see there's the Larissa. So we'll go ahead and try Larissa and see if we can gain access to that. That's 1,000,000, so that's a good indication that that user would be able to log in and SSH with them. So go ahead and go here and click here, SSH, and then we'll go ahead and SSH the name of the person, so Larissa, something, and then IP address of our host, and next prompting us for the password. So we'll use the password we discovered earlier in that database file. Uh, Here, no, that's obviously not the same user. It's still a password, so go ahead and try it and see if it works. And it works. So great, we are in. Now we can gather the user.txt file and then go to cat user.txt. I'm not going to show the file hash because that would violate hack the box's rules, but I'll go ahead and just do it on my own here, and then we'll go ahead and move on. But I won't show it. All right, upon checking for SUID binaries or permissions that we can abuse, we can see that there's a enlightenment SUID here. This is kind of interesting because these aren't default ones. I mean, the rest of them are, but these three are not. So those are of interest. We'll go ahead and do some research on enlightenment. What exactly is that? I tried to look it up on GTFO bins, but didn't find anything. So this is just not a standard thing. This is probably in regards to the those software that's installed. So if we take a look at the version, we can see this is version 0.23.1, and we'll go ahead and check to see if this version has any exploits. Right, let's see. And we can see that there is one here. There's even a GitHub here, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that one. And it looks like we just need to get this over to the box and run it. And upon doing so, we should be able to get root possibly. So, um, all right, so let's go ahead and try running this, see if this works. Yeah, this is definitely the one we're going to be looking at. Back up. Get this over here. Already got this exploit tab here, so go ahead and just put this again in that same folder. sudo clone IP address, not the IP address, path to the GitHub, Kali, and then we'll clone that ls. Looks like that's our CVE. I accidentally put this in the same folder. Shouldn't have done that, but it is what it is. So CVE 37706, that's the one that we're looking for. ls. And there's the exploit.sh. So go ahead and serve up a Python server for this directory. Actually, instead we'll do perfect. All right, and then we'll go ahead and try to get that onto our victim. There we get in 10 and 1419. And then we'll have exploits. This says permission denied. Let me double check why it said that. Interesting. Oh, maybe it just doesn't want to put it in this directory, I'm guessing. So we have to put it in the temp directory because we can't write to that one or something. Right here, temp. And that works. Okay, perfect. So there it is. Go ahead and chmod plus x exploit with sh and then run it. If it says any specific, nothing. Okay, cool. So it should work. Perfect. All right, cool. So that worked. Who am I? We're root. So we're in. We can now cap the roots.txt file. I won't show that here, but I hope you enjoy this video. We are all done. We're able to exploit 2 CVs and get flags. Mission accomplished. Danny.